tune in. Okay, so we are recording. So we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Tracy Sullivan. I'm the Grassroots Outreach Manager at Resolve. We're going to go ahead, and if I can move the slides. Okay, so the agenda tonight, we're going to start off with some introductions. We're going to talk about our promise and vision for the committee, diversity and inclusion statement. We're going to talk about Advocacy Day 2021. We're going to talk about some of the goals, the theme, the issues. We're going to talk about the volunteer committee structure, what to expect this year and next steps. And then again, we're going to offer, we're definitely going to have the opportunity for any questions that people may have. And again, please put them in the chat box if you have something right now that you want to talk about. I'm going to kick it over to Barb from Resolve to say hello and give an introduction.
Hi, everyone. First of all, welcome to our kickoff call. And we are just delighted and honored that you are here, that you are giving of your precious time to Resolve, to ASRM, and to this great event. Really, it's not just about the event, though. It's about the impact that we're having with our lawmakers here in Washington. And we know that every year that we come to Washington, year in and year out, we're making a difference. We're educating and informing more people, more staffers, and we start seeing change happen. So we are really grateful for you. I am really delighted with the incredible team that we have this year. Joe Cody, Jesse Feist as our co-chairs. They did a fantastic job leading us last year, and they've really brought a lot of insights and wisdom to this year's event and committee. And we are thrilled to have them and all of you. This has just been mind-blowing, the response that we've had for the committee. So welcome. Our door is always open. Tracy Sullivan, myself, you'll meet some of the other staff on this call. We are here to serve you, so please reach out at any time with any questions, concerns, problems. We also love to hear things that are going well. So hopefully this is a great personal experience for you as well. Tracy and Joe and Jesse also asked me if I would share a little bit about Resolve's recently released diversity and inclusion policy, and if you could just pull that up. So we released a statement a few weeks ago, and we also announced the formation of something called an Inclusion Council. This is not a task force. This is something that will be part of the Resolve fabric forever. And so we are looking forward to that as well. But I just wanted to ensure that you all know that how this diversity, equity, and inclusion statement relates to your work and the advocacy committee is that we want to ensure that we are looking at everything through this lens, all of our programming, all of our services, and ensuring that we are open, we're inclusive, but we're also reaching out and making sure that we are in fact reaching everyone who needs to hear this message and who's participating. So I hope that if you haven't had a chance to review this statement that you do now, and let us know if you have any questions. And we're really excited to infuse this as part of this committee and the work that you're doing, but more importantly, for all of our advocacy efforts. So with that, I am going to turn it over back to Tracy. And Happy New Year, everyone.
All right. So Advocacy Day team, I've introduced myself, but I am the project manager for Advocacy Day and helping out with the logistics and behind the scenes. And like Barb said, I'm here for your questions, your feedback, your concerns, always available to connect and chat. Simi Bookall is also on our Advocacy Day team, and she's going to be helping out with our communication side and helping with our messaging and getting the word out. And I want to turn it over to Becca to provide an introduction from ASRM.
Hi, good evening, everybody. It's so great to see so many people on tonight. My name's Becca, and I'm with ASRM. We're a nonprofit, and the shorthand way of describing it is we represent the doctors, the nurses, the professionals working in the field of reproductive medicine. I'm also an IVF mom, and my day job at ASRM is to help lead up policy efforts on the Hill and also in the states. And we work arm in arm with our friends at Resolve to do that. And it is our thrill to be part of this annual event. This is my second time doing it. I've been with ASRM about a year, and I just can't wait to get rolling on this. So thank you all for being part of it.
All right, and I'm going to turn it over to Joe and Jesse for the introductions and welcome from our co-chairs.
Go ahead. Okay, thanks. Hi, guys. Joe Cody. Honored to serve as co-chair again with Jesse this year. This is my fourth year being involved with Resolve. My wife and I have a fantastic IVF child. We've had a long journey to get there through multiple failed treatments, eventually egg donation, etc. But I have a background in government relations and health policy. I've worked on the Hill. I've worked for multiple medical associations and consulting firms here in Washington, D.C., and wanted to apply my skills, my professional life to try and give back, to try and increase access to family building services. So I'm happy to be working with all of you this year and really excited to see what progress we can make.
I'm also excited. This is very cool. Second year co-chairing, and I think it's maybe my fifth year attending. Let's see, I've been in third-party reproduction for 6 years now, and I was inspired to begin advocacy because my husband wouldn't let me become a gestational carrier. He just was no, and so I had to do something else cool, and so that's when I got really involved with this. And I'm loving it and excited to be here, excited to help. So yeah.
I also wanted to take an opportunity to kind of introduce some of the subcommittee leads that we have. We have 65 people who volunteered to sign up this year, which is an amazing response. We represent 22 different states and the District of Columbia. So it is a geographically diverse group of people that lead the Advocacy Day effort. So thank you all very much, as Barb and Tracy and Jesse have said, for dedicating your time and sacrificing time away from your families and jobs and everything else to help us with this. It really does mean a lot. So our subcommittee leads, we have Ryan, who's going to be leading the state captain coordinator process, the backbone of this entire operation. We could not do what we do without our state captains, so extremely excited for that. Heather is going to be leading our attendee engagement subcommittee. We'll have Kim, who's going to be leading our letters subcommittee. Lisa, who has a fantastic and very important job of the underrepresented states task force, trying to increase attendance in historically underrepresented states. Meredith is going to be leading our community outreach ambassadors and communications subcommittee team. Kenzie is going to be working with our fantastic follow-up subcommittee. And then we have a dedicated group of reservists who are going to work with the committee on different tasks and roles. And so we have so many people, and I just wanted to thank you all so much again from the bottom of my heart for taking time to work with us on this. All right. Next slide, to see and I apologize if it's slightly small for everyone. We'll be sending this around so people can see this actual document. As we were starting to plan Advocacy Day 2021, Jesse, Tracy, Barb, Sammy, Becca, everyone all got together and kind of talked about different tasks and goals that we have put together and what we imagine the subcommittees to be working on. So we wanted to create this basic outline document to kind of show what each subcommittee is going to be working on. This is a non-exclusive list, and we are extremely open to any and all ideas. Anything else that you can think of that helps achieve our goal of enacting legislative change is incredibly welcome. So if you think of any and all ideas, please feel free to share them with everything. We also want to be very open and transparent with all the work that the subcommittees are doing. A lot of the work you'll see through these tasks intertwines with the work that other subcommittees are doing. So it's going to be really important that not only the chairs, but also the individual members of each subcommittee are talking to one another, working jointly, and really coordinating efforts. So it's a big operation, and you can see there's a lot of tasks we have put together, but I'm very confident in the group of fantastic dedicated volunteers that are going to be working on all this. So we'll have more time to be able to go through each of these tasks. Here in the next few weeks, the subcommittee leads will be reaching out to all of their team members and then kind of going through some of these in more detail, and then allowing everyone to be able to put their individual stamp and footprint on each of these tasks. Jesse?
All right. So I thought it'd be nice to just share with everyone a little bit more information, the sort of thing that I wish I had known when I first joined the committee. And so here we go, just things running down that might be interesting or helpful to you. So keep in mind that Resolve's Advocacy Day is the nation's largest organized direct effort to represent pro-family building legislation. So if you start to think in your mind like, oh, other people got this. No, it's us. We've got this. It is us. This is the largest one, and it's up to us. So we can't rest on our laurels here. We're having, of course, a virtual advocacy day. So I just want to highlight again the job of the volunteer committees to help. We're going to help make an interactive, inclusive event. So the idea is that we're working with what's just a little different, and we're going to work with that. We're rolling with it. Advocacy Day attendance is historically sort of a split between people who identify as patients and people who identify as professionals. This is the first year where we're allowing people to identify as multiple things on the application. So we think we're going to see a lot of people who are like, I'm both a professional and, I identified at some point as a patient, but just sort of interesting to know that if you maybe came into it with a professional or one or the other, you might not realize that the other half of the people you're attending with, identify primarily as the other. Of course, state captains are very much at the center core of this virtual strategy. Just to highlight, Ryan and his team are so incredibly important and crucial to this. So yeah, we're very excited and appreciative of them. This year is the earliest launch of a Federal Advocacy Day effort in the history of the event. So that's kind of exciting, just throwing it out there, kind of cool. Let's see, last year was our first year with attendees from all 50 states, and the underrepresented task force is already working to secure those 15 most challenging states. So that's very exciting. We're not waiting to the last minute to be like, oh, does anyone know someone in Wyoming? We're already, Lisa's task force they're very much on it. Usually Advocacy Day is in May, as you might already know. But in this year, it's a month later, which means we'll have more time to practice our elevator pitches and introduce legislation. And it just sort of gives us a little bit more breathing room in just like the calendar of events. So it gives us more time to prepare. It's really exciting. And then I want to share with you that some people are like, well, how do we get all of these certain logistics done, right? Well, we partner with a company called formerly Prime Advocacy. Now I believe they're Advocacy Associates, and they're a private business whom we work with, and they help secure our meetings with our lawmakers. So that was just one of the missing pieces in my head when I first joined the committee of like, who's the one that schedules all the meetings? Well, we have a private business that does that for us. And that's why it's so important, of course, that when people register, we get their correct address and all that good stuff. And Prime Advocacy, now Advocacy Associates, takes that information and helps secures our meetings. So just a little bit of information to help you get the framework here. All right, so our promise and our vision. I just want to reiterate again, and I'm certain you've heard me say this before, but you are very much welcome here. It does not matter what your background is. It does not matter your connection to the cause, your level of experience, no matter the circumstance. If you're on this call, You are welcome here, and we are very excited to have you. Want to tell you that this is a bipartisan organization, and this is a bipartisan committee. We are super open to your ideas, and we're going to utilize you. We value every single one of your time and your effort, and so we're going to definitely find a task for you. I want to just share again that my first few meetings that I was on a committee, I was a reservist for my first year, and I had no idea what I was doing, and I was very nervous about it. And maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 meetings in, Barb said, hey, does somebody want to do this? And me. So it's okay to hang out and not know exactly what you're doing for a while. And if it's your first year, it's kind of okay to feel like you're not sure. That's all right. We're going to put you to good use. It's great that you're here and that you're learning, and we love that you're learning. We want to be respectful of your time, and I talk this fast normally, but it is kind of a time thing too. But the idea is that we're going to encourage all of our leads to keep most of our meetings down to 50 minutes or less. So just want to, throw that out there for our leads to keep in mind. As co-chairs, Joe and I are always hoping to sort of limit the cognitive burden of this. And so we know you've got families. We know you have a lot to do. So if we can say it in 4 words and quickly, we'll try not to just, waste your time, all that stuff. And we'll try to make this not so burdensome. So if there is a decision that we can make instead of, asking 5 questions, sometimes we'll just make that decision, and hopefully it will be of a benefit to everyone, a little bit more efficient for everyone. We promise you that we'll be efficient, productive, and professional in all interactions. And of course, we know that you will be as well. And I just want to reiterate that we're focused on the legislative change here. So our goal is to enact legislative change and have a legislative impact. So we're always going to be sort of reformulating things in our brain of going, okay, does that check? Is what we're doing here relevant to legislative change that we want? I do want to say one more time, and I just want to reiterate this to the leads too, as you talk to your people and as your team, as your members of the committee, your family, your mental health, your family building, those are the priority. This is a crazy year, okay? So there is zero shame or weirdness whatsoever about you needing to pause or stop if something is going on with you. That's number 1 priority. This is a very safe place and community for you to say, hey, other things are going on. We get it. Just tell us. No judgment. We've got you. Just tell us and don't let it go. The team will step up. So no problem. Just let us know.
Great. So wanted to kind of introduce some of the Advocacy Day goals that we've set as well. So as previously mentioned, last year for Advocacy Day was virtual. It was our first one. We pivoted right when the pandemic hit. It was quite a thing, but ended up being a fantastic blessing for us in that we really got to increase the number of people who were able to participate in Advocacy Day. And so last year we had, I believe, over 400 registered, around 390 something. And so we're hoping to increase that attendance to over 450, representing all 50 states again. But we also want to work on increasing our retention rate. Last year, it was, I believe, 60-something% were first-time attendees. So our goal is to try and keep those people involved. We want to develop a deep bench. We want to be able to have people who are experts who are able to talk about their personal stories and really, come back time and time again. This is a community. We really want to be inclusive. Really, we want people to feel, a part of this. In addition, as I mentioned, we have our letter subcommittee. So in 2020, we saw the greatest yield of letters yet. So these letters are letters from constituents to members of Congress, whether senators or the representatives, for people who are unable or also who are joining Advocacy Day. I believe we had over 5,000 last year. We want to beat that. So we have a professional grassroots system that allows people to sign on to the letter and then send it directly via email to their legislators. A new thing that we're really focusing on this year, it's part of the diversity and inclusion statement, but it's also something Jesse and I are really passionate about, is underrepresented communities. So we really want to be proactive in improving our inclusion of underrepresented communities. We really want to ensure that everyone who is in the infertility community feels like they're a part of it, and we want to hear their voice, their stories. So as we work through everything, make sure that you have that lens as well and understand that is something that I'm promoting the goal that I have, really try to ensure that we're being as inclusive as possible with that. So it's something that, we really want to promote. And then finally, our number one goal here is to provide an inspiring digital experience for attendees. There's some fantastic, really cool stuff that Resolve is going to be working on. One of the good things about 10 months now of working via Zoom is there are a lot of really cool companies out there that are doing really awesome things when it comes to virtual conferences. So Resolve's looking at all of those. If you've been on meetings or done stuff and you know of really cool things that people have done, please tell us. We are absolutely have no shame in stealing other people's ideas, including them as part of this process. So please, we are open to all of that. So any way we can make people feel excited, included, and really part of this overall community is what our overall goal is. That's the way that we're going to be able to enact the legislative change that we're pushing for.
All right, let's talk about the theme. We've never had a theme this early in the process established, but our theme this year is Let's Talk. So pro-family legislation, let's talk. We thought it was a great theme in dialogue and in marketing, which is what I bring into the table is it's what you call it has legs, right? Which means it's a great jumping off point for an Instagram post. It's a great jumping off point for an Insta Live series. So it's let's talk. Hey, adoption is part of family building. Let's talk. Hey, LGBT additional challenges. Let's talk, right? So let's talk is our jumping off point, and that's one of our themes. We want attendees to have heard personal stories that represent the diverse type of legislation that we'll be working to affect on Advocacy Day. And we feel like the Let's Talk theme is a great jumping off point for that for promotion. So last year we had someone sort of ask a general question like, why is Resolve advocating for this? And something, one of our core issues. And so one of our goals here this year is to make certain that everybody before Advocacy Day has heard from somebody who has a personal connection, has heard a personal story related to some of our core legislative goals, right? So even if there's somebody who is not, who won't be able to provide an elevator pitch or a personal narrative related to it, they've heard from someone that can attest to that. And so that picture of that person, of that personal story comes to their mind. Our issues, again, are pro-family, which means that they significantly impact people's challenge in their family building due to infertility, discrimination, and lack of access for other reasons.
All right, so what are we advocating for? And Becca and Barb, please feel free to chime in and correct me at any time with this. But as we are starting a new congressional session, we do not have our specific bills yet for Advocacy Day that we're advocating for. Right now, we are having discussions with offices and partners to come up with that legislation. But I did want to provide some context of what Resolve and ASRM does support and some of the legislation that we worked on in 2020 to give you an idea. And we also have our legislative priorities on our website that you can check out as well and read more in depth. So we support legislation that provides coverage for infertility services for those who receive their health care through government-sponsored health plans, which can include TRICARE, the VA, and federal employee health benefits programs. We also support legislation for access to vital fertility preservation services. We support making the tax credit for adoption expenses refundable. We also support legislation which will increase the number of foster and adoptive homes by banning discrimination against foster and adoptive parents. We also support legislation which will permanently allow veterans with a service-connected injury to have access to IVF medical treatments, and also designating September as PCOS Awareness Month. So again, we don't have the specific bills right now, but I thought it would be good to just provide an overview of some of the legislation. And if you have any questions, please let us know.
I just want to say really quickly, if I may, Tracy and Joe, we talked about this before. If we could go back that slide really quickly. If you're on this meeting and you say, "Oh my goodness, the core item that's brought me to this and makes me feel passionate about being an advocate isn't outlined here," that's okay. Not every year will we be talking about the exact issue that relates to your story. That's all right. We hope that doesn't make you lose any inertia whatsoever. You learning how to be an advocate and strengthening that ability to this year, whether or not your pet project is represented, that's okay. That happens some year. And then the next year it will be there. So just worth mentioning that.
So we wanted to provide a brief overview to everyone so you can kind of understand what to expect as a volunteer on the Advocacy Day committee. So we'll have the full committee calls. We're going to schedule them bi-weekly, and so we'll be sending out calendar invites for those following this call. There also will be subcommittee calls and meetups. So that's something that the subcommittee chairs will be working on with each of you. And so that'll be follow-up that happens in the next couple of weeks, figuring out the frequency and method of those communications. We're also going to be working on and planning virtual networking and social meetups. Advocacy training sessions are an important component of what Resolve, ASRM, and the Advocacy Day Volunteer Committee do. State captain delegation meetings, we've talked about, want to continue to emphasize the importance of what Ryan and his team are doing. So anytime they ask you for anything, please help them as much as you can. The state captains are the most important component of all this. We'll be planning a cram session before Advocacy Day in June. So that way anyone who doesn't feel incredibly comfortable can learn about the issues. Also, if people do feel comfortable and they just want to talk to other people, meet them virtually before Advocacy Day, it's a fantastic environment. We'll be working on developing the conference platform use for the morning of Advocacy Day. As I alluded to, Resolve's working on some really cool stuff. Hopefully we'll be able to provide those details to the volunteer committee shortly, so that way everyone can plan appropriately. And then also be working on planning a debrief and then a happy hour to celebrate the fantastic success that we know Advocacy Day is going to be. So those are just a few things. There's going to be a lot of work to be done, as you saw from that list of tasks. As I said, that's not all inclusive, so there will be more to be done. There's a lot to do. We are really, really excited about it.
All right. So committee member conduct. I want to encourage you to read the contract, the volunteer contract, and then sign it. But go ahead and read it, right? It's absolutely worth doing. I just want to reiterate that as volunteers, as volunteers on this committee, as the committee volunteer, we represent ASRM and Resolve. So for me, as co-chair, I went back and I took all those posts that my crazy aunts had put on my Facebook page. I said, oh, I'll take that off, just in case, and I just try to do my best to keep it a little bit more buttoned up and know that anything I say could be, interpreted, because I'm out there talking about Resolve and I'm representing in a way ASRM and Resolve. So just consider that you're on the committee, and so your actions specifically, on social media, might be seen as a representation of them. So just keep that in mind. We're of course all going to conduct ourselves in friendly, appropriate, bipartisan, diplomatic, professional manners, all that good stuff. These are just crazy times, and passions run high. So we're just gonna, assume the best of one another and proceed with grace and graciousness. I want to encourage everyone to assume sort of approach anything discussed in your committee meetings with the assumption of confidentiality, with an expectation that if we say, oh, we're looking at maybe inviting the senator to come and talk, that's not public knowledge, let's say, right? So anything we talk about on the committee should probably stay on the committee unless the committee is to say, oh, please share and please get the word out, that sort of thing. So just we also know that some items might be spoken about because it's family building. Some people might be sensitive about items being shared. So just assume, make the assumption of confidentiality unless otherwise told is something that I encourage. And then I just want to say that the connections that we make with one another on this committee, with the attendees, and eventually with the lawmakers who we'll be speaking with and their staff, that is what is going to make or break this effort. So again, I just really encourage us all to be gracious to one another. We're going to be forgiving. We're going to be kind. We're going to be open. We're going to be encouraging and welcoming, because it's people that get the work done, and it's connections that keep people in it year after year. And this is a long game. And I think Joe told me my first year that the average bill takes how many years, Joe?
I think somewhere around 7, something like that, give or
Right.
take, but could take longer.
So it was good for me to hear that and make me go, okay, this is about connection, making friends, making networks, and make people who will hang in there while these bills, get fought for us, and we can get a strong network where we can earn. And I think I was saying to Heather, something really beautiful happens when a lot of really smart, passionate people just have each other's phone numbers in their phones, and they can just pick up the phone and go, oh, I know who I can call about this. And then a tree, phone trees started. So that's really what we're going for, is to build that connection and that network. That's going to be really powerful. So yeah, all that good stuff.
Oh,
All right. And finally, so for next steps, so everyone kind of understands what to expect. As Jesse said, please read through and sign the volunteer contract if you have not yet. Tracy sent that around with the calendar reminder today. It's important to sign this because it's a commitment that you have with us, that you're going to be respectful of your time. We're going to be respectful of yours. But it's kind of a way for you to be able to show commitment, and it's something that kind of guides all the volunteers. Join the private advocacy Facebook group. We'll make sure to send around a link of the name to that, so that everyone does have that. We'll also be sending around a link for access to Google Docs. So we operate through Google Drives. So all the subcommittees will have folders set up where you can put all your shared documents. Everyone can work on everything. We want this to be open and transparent as possible. Also kind of platform agnostic. So Google worked really well for that. As I mentioned before, leads are going to be reaching out to everyone in the next week or two with next steps, and we'll be coordinating with the leads. So leads, don't be freaked out that you don't know about all of this yet. Also, if you have not, please register for Advocacy Day and spread the word. Share it around to your friends, family, social networks, etc. We already have had a fantastic, robust response, but we want to continue to drive those numbers up. The weekly calls are optional for volunteer, but then leads are required. So those are going to be on every other Thursday at 8 p.m. And I said we'll be sending out calendar invites on that. And the first meeting will be on the 28th at 8 p.m. So what we're going to be working on is having the leads reach out to their teams and kind of put together some initial thoughts and game plans for the tasks that we've outlined for each of the committees. We also hopefully will be introducing you guys to some of the mentors, some people who have been fantastic advocates for Resolve over the years, and then have some updates for you as things are starting to progress. Hopefully we'll be able to have more information and specifics on the nuts and bolts of how Advocacy Day will be run. Jesse, do you have anything else before we open up for questions?
Nope. Good.
Excellent. So if people have questions, you can either use the chat, you can unmute, and we'll go from here. We've got about 14 minutes to honor our 50-minute call commitment. So floor is open to anyone and everyone.
I have a question. It's for Joe, Jesse. Tell us about the private advocacy Facebook group. Who is in that? Is that just the committee? And then if is there information that is distributed outside of that for those of us who are not on Facebook, including me? So let us know.
Tracy, could you provide a little more on that? Is that which one that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is the this is the new Facebook group that was created in September. And we have a page that is set up for Advocacy Day event. This is not mandatory for you to join, and we will have information on our volunteer committee calls, as well as emails that we will send out to the group, so that you won't be missing information if you don't have a Facebook or don't want to use one at this time.
And there's people outside of the committee that are part of that advocacy Facebook group, correct?
Yes, that's correct. There were a couple of questions in the chat box about state captains. So we are definitely still looking for state captains and also co-captains. We know that we are going to have, we have a goal of 450 attendees for this year. So we, would love all the help that we can get. So if you are interested in being a co-captain or helping to support, we will be, please email Ryan and myself. We can provide our contact information. We'll be hosting an informational kickoff call webinar for that. If you want to learn more information, but absolutely, we're definitely still looking for state captains.
I'm taking down all your names that are reaching out about state captains. So
We have a lot of people here. I'm sure people have more questions. Please feel free to ask any and everything.
I have to say, Barb was doing an awesome job at answering most of our questions in the chat. Thanks, Barb.
Hey, Tracy, this is Katie Hendrickson speaking. I don't know. Can you hear me?
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Yep.
So, of course, I'll introduce myself since you're including now, and it's great in filling out the form that I can put down that not only am I a parent through adoption as well as assisted reproduction. My husband and I have 5 children, 3 who we have adoption experience with and 2 through IVF. But I am also the founder of the Military Family Building Coalition. So very excited to be working and partnering with Resolve on this. And so I love your diversity statement, equity and inclusion statement, and see the word veterans a lot. Is it just that you're using the term veteran to represent military members, or are you thinking that active duty military, which is what I am, or which is what my partner is, are not, we're not looking at including that group right now?
This is Barb. I think that the focus on that list were people, groups of people that have not had as big of a presence at our advocacy days in the past. And so we actually have had a lot of people with who are active duty or retirees or connections. And that doesn't mean to say we shouldn't make sure we continue to have that, but we've been really happy with the amount of people that have had a military connection who've attended in the past. Not as much on the veteran, the veteran side. And so that's what that list was. It was groups of people that when we look at the attendance in the past for this particular event, we haven't felt we've had as many folks in that category, in those categories.
Great, perfect. Thank you for that, Barbara.
Yep. And also, I just want to say too that I'm super excited with the committee and how we're going to be reaching out to groups, Katie, like your group and others. Just to give you an example, Tracy and I had a call today with Hadassah. They have 300,000 members around the US. Every single congressional district has a Hadassah chapter, and they are going to publicize and promote our Advocacy Day to their entire membership. So we are working on those kinds of partnerships and ensuring that it's not just Resolve and ASRM that are spreading this word, but it is groups like Katie's and all kinds of other groups as well that we want to reach.
That's great. Thank you.
This is Joe. Something I want to add to this also is if there are underrepresented communities or other communities that we may not be contacting, we are very open to any and all contacts and ideas that people have as well. So we put these lists down, as Barb said, for people who've historically haven't been able to, but we have definitely missed communities. So we don't want to be like, it is not intentional in any way. So please bring that to our attention if there's anyone and everyone that you think would be a fantastic ally to work with us as we work through these issues. So we're very open to all of that, and want to continue to be as inclusive, diverse, and really kind of expand the umbrella and build a larger coalition as possible.
Hey, this is Kenzie. I've got a quick question. So Barb just mentioned Hadassah, and I'm so glad to hear that the Jewish Sisterhood organization nationwide is getting involved. And I had no idea that they had a chapter in every congressional district, but that's really cool. But what about like other religious organizations or sisterhoods? Are we also expanding out using that? Or I know that Hadassah is very interested in expanding this for Jewish women.
We have no problem with anyone. I mean, this was just honestly, I don't want to say a random conversation, because we certainly have done a lot of work with Hadassah, but that was really just this afternoon that Tracy and I had that call. But we do have a subcommittee that's working on that outreach, and we would love that group to look at that and that subcommittee. I mean, it would be. I mean, there's so many different kinds of organizations and, sororities and all kinds of things that that bring people together that might be very interested in our issues.
Yeah, this is something that we specifically, Meredith and the Community Outreach Ambassadors Communications subcommittee is going to be looking at. And that's something that, if there are organizations that you think would be appropriate and would be good allies, then, let's make sure everyone's touching base with one another and sharing that information, because we're absolutely open to everyone and anyone.
All right, just a couple minutes left. Does anyone have any other questions?
All right. Well, we are so excited to work with you all, and we just can't wait to get started. And we feel so grateful to have you on the team. So thank you all for being with us and for sticking with us. And we're going to make this the best Advocacy Day yet. So thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so
See
much.
everybody.
Thank you, all our chairs and volunteers. Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
There.
All right, bye.